Hello babes, welcome back to the channel. If you are new, welcome. So in today's video I wanted to discuss the problematic Miss Emily Gilmore and how much of a toxic parent she was. So let's get into it. Welcome to Iconically Iconic. So I wanted to talk about Emily Gilmore, a character who often gets excuses, while Lorelai is framed as the worst person or character on Gilmore Girls, as if she had no reason to act the way she did towards her mother. But before we dive in, I just wanted to say how much I love Kelly Bishop. She did an incredible job portraying Emily, and she's spoken about how she was close with her mother, like Lorelai and Rory, and how her grandmother and mother had an estranged relationship. So she relates to the character. And when an actor can stir up strong emotions and make you genuinely dislike a character, it speaks to their talent. Now, let's get into this video. Now, while I had my issues with some of Lorelai's behavior because she could be stubborn and selfish, I completely understood why she had the relationship she did with her parents. Emily didn't just see Lorelai as her daughter, she saw her as an extension of herself. But not in the way most mothers do, where they want their child to succeed, be happy, and feel protected. No. Emily wanted Lorelai to be her, Emily 2.0. If Lorelai did something Emily disapproved of or wouldn't have done herself, she scoffed at it and made her feel as though she had no right to be her own person. She craved total control over Lorelai, and what made it worse was her blatant double standards when it came to Lorelai. She would constantly excuse Christopher, a deadbeat father, for why he wasn't present in Rory's life. That is, until he gets another woman pregnant and engaged, then he's the bad guy because the world must revolve around Emily and how she wants things to be. Don't even get me started on how she addressed his daughter and referred to her as that. It was so disgusting, simply because she had an image that she wanted for Lorelai and Christopher.
However, you have good breeding. You come from an impeccable family and you love Lorelai. You've always loved Lorelai. You would have married her when she got pregnant, I know that. And you would have married her if that girlfriend of yours hadn't gotten pregnant with this. I know that too.
But aside from that, she always treated him with warmth and affection, yet she couldn't extend that same love to her own daughter. She would light up every time she saw Christopher. Emily and Richard would constantly gush about Christopher and make claims of Rory getting her intelligence from him, while refusing to acknowledge that it was Lorelai who nurtured and supported their golden granddaughter. From the moment we meet Emily, there's a coldness to her. Even when Lorelai goes to her for a loan, it's very clear that this has never been a warm, comforting mother-daughter relationship. And even the house seems stuffy, cold, and uninviting.
On one condition. So close. Since we are now financially involved in your life, I want to be actively involved in your life.
What does that mean, Mother?
I want a weekly dinner. What? Friday nights, you and Rory will have dinner here.
Mom.
And you have to call us once a week to give us an update on her schooling and your life. That's it. That's the condition. If you agree, you come to dinner tomorrow night and leave here with a check. Otherwise, I'm sorry, we can't help you.
Emily only offers support when she has full control, which was why she took the opportunity for the Friday night dinners. And I get it. Lorelai was asking for money. They wanted a relationship with their granddaughter and to see the two more often aside from holidays and special events. But if they had worked on that relationship, this wouldn't have even been a conversation. Emily was just manipulative. She also looked down on people who didn't come from money and treated those she deemed to be quote-unquote beneath her with disdain. Emily wielded money as a weapon and used it to control both Lorelai and Rory.
We pay for Yale. You come to dinner every Friday night and you act pleasantly and decently.
You're right, Grandma. We do have a contract, but it's to come to dinner, period. There's no agreement on how vivacious or bubbly I have to be.
You need to act like you.
I am.
This isn't you.
Look, Grandma, you know what you did.
And though I am not the biggest fan of Richard because he had no backbone, he didn't use finances as a bargaining chip the way Emily did. Anytime Lorelai or Rory needed help, Richard would be willing to give, and then Emily would step in with what they would need to do in order to get the money. It's why she didn't want Trix giving Lorelai money, because she used it to control Lorelai and Rory to an extent. And what's so ironic is that Emily hated when she was the one being controlled. Whenever Richard's mother, Trix, asserted dominance over their household and made her uncomfortable in her house, Emily resented it. But she had no problem doing the exact same thing to Lorelai. She constantly inserted herself into her daughter's life, questioned who she dated, meddled in her engagement, and went so far as to break them up because she couldn't let go of the image she had for Lorelai, a 30-plus-year-old woman. What baffles me is how Emily never seemed to grasp why Lorelai ran away from the mansion and wealth, why she preferred to struggle on her own rather than to stay under their roof. And what irritates me even more is how people excuse Emily's behavior simply because Lorelai grew up rich and she's so privileged because she had money and she had things that everyone else didn't have, as if financial privilege erases emotional neglect or any form of abuse. And it's a mindset that exists in the real world too, which we see with celebrities, amongst billionaires and all of these other people. People assume money automatically equates to good parenting and a good person, as if wealth cancels out toxicity. Money just means you're financially stable and can use your money as a weapon in a way to control people. If Emily weren't rich, if she didn't have the status, the designer clothes, and the grand house, people wouldn't hesitate to call her a bad mother. But because she does have the coins, her narcissistic traits get overlooked. What I just couldn't get with and made me really dislike Emily, though I mentioned it before, Emily not once held Christopher accountable. He only wanted to be a father when it was convenient and when he and Lorelai were romantically seeing each other. The moment Lorelai and him weren't with one another, he took that as a pass to not be a father to Rory. Like a lot of men, when a woman no longer wants them, they think it gives them license to be an absent father. He would just up and disappear, yet Emily never called him out for it, because at the end of the day, everything was about her and how things looked to her, how they reflected on her status, and how much control she had over the narrative. Like when she threw that birthday party for Rory's 16th birthday and didn't even ask Rory, hey, do you like these people? Are these the people that you get along with in school? Is it okay if I invite them? No. And it was an obligation party for Rory, which is embarrassing. She didn't even ask her. And then when Rory got upset, rightfully so, she shut down and gave her the silent treatment like she always does.
I am not the hostess. You are.
Hey, honey, hold on.
This is your party, and these are your guests, and I don't have anything to say to them, so you give the speech.
Rory?
Excuse me.
What was that all about?
Lorelai, your daughter has no manners whatsoever. You should be ashamed of yourself.
And then she did the same thing again to get Rory to date an upper class man, and threw that party with just men and tricked Rory.
So I get here, and Grandma immediately whisks me upstairs where her hairdresser and her makeup artist are waiting to make a new me.
Because the old you, so last season.
Then I come downstairs to find that the guests are all Yale friends of Grandma and Grandpa and their sons.
What?
No girls, all boys, and me.
You're kidding.
Nope, I feel like I'm being auctioned off.
They suck. My parents suck.
And anytime Rory would act out, then suddenly she was Lorelai's daughter and she got those manners from Lorelai. But oh no, the good things didn't come from Lorelai. Bringing a pastor in to question if Rory was sexually active when she was in the pool house with Logan, just trying to control every single part of Rory and Lorelai's life. Rory was a grown woman by that time. She was 21 years old. She didn't have to answer as to if she was sexually active, if she was or if she wasn't. That wasn't Emily nor Richard's business. And then to separate her and put her in their part of the house because they were trying to control what she was doing was so out of pocket.
You know, Rory, being a young lady comes with many gifts. Your virtue, for example, is a gift, a precious gift, possibly the most precious gift you possess. You want to give this gift very carefully. It is a gift you can give to only one man. Once you give it, it's gone. You can't re-gift it. If you give it away too soon to the wrong man, then when the right one does come along, you have no gift to give. You'll have to buy him a sweater. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No.
Think long and hard about when and to whom you want to give the ultimate gift you have to give away.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh dear.
Oh dear indeed.
Well, listen, Reverend, I really appreciate you taking the time out of what I assume is a busy day to come here and talk to me about all of this. But I'm afraid the ultimate gift ship has sailed.
And while I understand Emily grew up in a different time, I would never understand forcing a lifestyle onto your daughter when she clearly doesn't want it. She treated Lorelai like she was disposable, but yet still wanted respect and to somehow be close to her.
Why is it that when your only daughter tells you that she is getting married, you can't muster up even a little enthusiasm, even a little fake enthusiasm? Why don't you pretend that you care? I mean, this is the biggest thing to happen to me possibly for the rest of my life, and you dismissed it. Like I said, hey, I'm thinking of getting a Honda. What do you think?
You're obviously hysterical.
Why don't you care? Why have you never cared? No matter what has happened to me my entire life, you've never been happy for me, and that hurts. Mom, it really hurts.
I'm not discussing this with you.
And she held resentment for Lorelai getting pregnant and running away. And listen, I can acknowledge that Emily was hurt because she's human and that was her child that ran away. And she honestly probably was lost in the moment and didn't know what had happened. But she never once took accountability for the role she played in driving her daughter away. And that's what made her a narcissist. Yet, despite all of her resentment and anger for Lorelai, she had no problem bragging about Rory and showering her with love.
Why can't you be like Rory?
Rory looks perfect. Would have been fine.
But Dad still would have been having lunch with this woman once a year.
You weren't even supposed to come. It was supposed to be your father and me and Rory. You weren't supposed to come.
Okay.
I will never understand people who treat their own children poorly but adore their grandchildren, while simultaneously trying to erase the parent from the equation. How does that even make sense? You can't love someone's child while actively disregarding the person who brought them into the world.
That doesn't make no sense. My man.
That kind of mentality has always been so weird to me. The audacity to think a parent can just be discarded as if they don't matter needs to be examined. Emily was a woman who didn't like anyone who was truly free to be themselves. She believed a woman's role was singular, to be a wife and a mother. Yes, she wanted Lorelai to finish school and college for bragging rights, but ultimately she wanted Lorelai to be a wife and mother who went to DAR meetings and hosted events. And not every woman wants that. She believed men could do whatever they pleased while women had to abide by strict expectations. And I agree with a few of Emily's sentiments about certain things, like not being reckless and having respect for yourself. But I think that applies to both genders, not just a woman. Like Logan, for example. Logan got into lots of trouble, and that was fine to Emily. When Lorelai disapproved of him, she made it a point to make her own daughter feel uncomfortable because Lorelai wanted to marry Luke and not a man her parents approved of, as if he was a lazy bum who lived off of Lorelai. But because Logan came from wealth and status, his behavior was acceptable. She called Luke a filthy diner owner because he wasn't a part of high society, and it was just so disgusting the way she treated Luke. I absolutely hated it. I hated it. And Luke is good because I would have thrown up the deuces to Lorelai.
Shout out to everybody. I had fun.
I gotta be good.
Her family was toxic, money and all. You would think that after Lorelai ran away, Emily would have seen it as an opportunity for a fresh start to rebuild their relationship. But every time Lorelai let her in, even just a little bit, Emily would always flip the script the moment Lorelai didn't behave as she wanted and give Lorelai a reason not to trust her. And the reason so many people excuse Emily's behavior is because she's a mother. There's this widespread belief that parents have the right to control their children's lives well into their adult years, and disguising it as, I just want what's best for you, when in reality, it's, I want what's going to make me look good. Being a parent doesn't give you the right to act like a warden, then play victim when your child grows up and goes no contact because you refused to acknowledge your emotional neglect. Even after losing Richard, who, let's not forget, was also Lorelai's father, Emily still couldn't show her daughter any real love. Everything had to be about her grief, her needs, her loneliness. There was never any space for Lorelai's feelings, ever. She would always get shut down. And Emily had some funny moments, especially with her climbing out that window and trying to buy that plane. But if you've ever dealt with someone like her in real life, you know they're anything but. People like Emily are emotionally draining, manipulative, and incapable of taking accountability when others choose to walk away from them. And while Lorelai and Rory were far from perfect, and my have I spoken about it, but their flaws in many ways were a reflection of Emily. Her treatment of Lorelai was terrible and shaped so much of their dynamic. One of the things that I found to be unsettling was how Emily would use Rory to undermine Lorelai, almost as if she wanted to create a rivalry between them. It felt like she was trying to replicate the same broken mother-daughter relationship that she had with Lorelai, except this time she would get to play the role of the beloved maternal figure, positioning herself as Mia to Rory while making Lorelai feel like an outsider. And we all know Mia was a safe space for Lorelai. And it worked because Rory only knew the Emily that spoiled her and thought she was the best thing in the world. And she would often take the side of Emily and her grandparents because she didn't get the same experience Lorelai did. And when she got just a smidgen of it when she took off from Yale, she couldn't even deal with that. Emily was jealous of how close Lorelai and Rory were because it forced her to question her own parenting, yet she refused to change. Emily would resort to the silent treatment, which in itself is a form of emotional abuse. The moment things didn't go her way, she would shut down completely and block Lorelai out. And there is no doubt in my mind that Lorelai dealt with this constantly as a child, and it was probably worse. Behavior like that doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It is a long-standing tactic used to wear someone down until they eventually cave in. Now, I know plenty of people shut down in difficult situations, not necessarily out of manipulation, but because they don't feel heard. That's different. With Emily, it was always about control. She was very calculated, and it was always to get her way in a way to punish Lorelai for not falling in line. Lorelai could never do anything right in Emily's eyes, no matter how successful she became or how much she proved them wrong by thriving on her own. Despite their belief that she would fail without them, she built a life for herself, raised an intelligent daughter who, while she had her flaws, wasn't rebellious and achieved success on her own terms. Yet, Emily still refused to give her the credit she deserved. I've seen so many people side with Emily and make claims of her not being wrong. Even when I did my Lorelai and Rory video, some people didn't find anything wrong with how Emily was as a parent. And it boggled my mind. And it's because they're just as manipulative. They expect their children to bow to them, obey them without question, and accept whatever treatment they dish out. They see no issue with gaslighting, controlling, and dismissing their child's opinions because to them, a parent's word is law. If you watched this show as a teenager and then rewatched it as an adult, you more than likely have a deeper understanding of why Lorelai wanted nothing to do with her mother. I know for a fact I would never treat my child the way Emily did if I had one. Parents are human and they make mistakes. I am fully aware of that. But there are some people who should have never been parents in the first place. They damage their children, move on as if nothing happened, and then expect to be forgiven simply because they're the parent. Just because you want to bury your guilt and pretend you did nothing wrong doesn't mean your now adult child has to forget, especially when you continue the same behaviors and never once apologized. They owe you nothing. They deserved a loving parent who would show up for them and to feel like they mattered, not to feel like a burden or mistake because they didn't do what you wanted them to do. And with that being said, this video has come to an end. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Also, make sure your notification bells are turned on so that you always know when I upload. And I will catch you guys in the next one.